All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the BLTN podcast. Obviously, your hosts, Warfare and McDilly, and then tonight we brought on Snake, we got Bojo, and then Lucky. We're going to talk about a few things, such as new Chief, Marksman DLC, how that could impact the server, what kind of guns should be placed into Altus Life. Obviously, Wasteland would probably be everything. A few little various topics that we'll discuss, and you guys chime in the chat and let us know your opinions and stuff. And if you have any other topics and we need them, we'll definitely talk about them. So, McDill, you have a topic you wanna start with, or?
I would say let's go ahead and start with the big news. Anyway, just start big. Ace stepped down as the chief. Kind of a big deal. I honestly did not see it coming. I heard earlier today that something big was happening, and I'm just like apparently I was just out of the loop this whole week. Some people knew something big was happening. That's all they knew, was that something big was happening. I'm just like, okay, what? I learned about it today. I'm just like, okay, what's all this about? I don't really care. I don't really know. All of a sudden, we have our senior APD meeting, and shit just starts hitting the fan right off the bat. Well, it wasn't off the bat, it was like at the end. But it was just, Kratos had stepped down from deputy chief recently this week. We knew that. So, they need a new deputy chief, and they did it right on the spot. And it was, they instantly just promoted me to deputy chief, and I was actually surprised. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, why didn't Ares get it? Like, I didn't say that. I just said, oh my god, and I was just confused. But I was confused, because Ares has been there for a long time, and he's obviously done a whole lot. And then it made sense, because Ares was the one who became chief now that Ace stepped down. That was huge. I didn't see that coming at all, to be honest. I really liked Ace as a chief, but, so it was really sad to see him go, actually. I really did not, like to see him go. Fucking,
Yeah, Ace,
like, comb your hair, Dilly.
right. Ace was saying some stuff last night. Him and Kratos were just kind of like hinting at something big was going to happen. Wouldn't tell me what, and then obviously the bomb dropped later today, or earlier today. I didn't expect it. He was on so short, and I figured he'd be around for a long time. I liked what he was doing with the APD, and it was really working for him. I'm sure he has some pretty solid reasons as to why he left, and hopefully everything works out with Ares, and I'm sure he's got something under his belt that he's gonna be working on. I thought that he was gonna get deputy chief, and then he's like, it's not gonna happen. I talked to Ace, and then now we know why that went down. I think Snake, you have like a really big opinion on all of it. I mean, that's like the main reason why you want to come on, right? Snake.
Oh no, what? I'm
No.
sorry.
Ace, you want to talk about Ace? Stepping down, Ace stepping down. Talk about it. Okay.
Snake?
You can hear me, right?
We can now, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say it's a whole new era, right? I mean, Ace has been a part of the cops since basically the beginning here. It's a pretty big change. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I was a little surprised that Ares did he jump from lieutenant to chief?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was a little surprised to hear that, but obviously it's Ares, so it's not that big of a surprise. I was unaware of the Kratos situation, so once I heard that, I was even less surprised. Because I'm sure that Colonel Gary probably didn't want to be the chief of police. So. But I gotta say, Ace provided me with some of my best memories when I was a cop. He was always a really understanding dude, level-headed, kept that the whole way. So, shout out to him for being such a good guy, such a honest and humble guy as well.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like when you're chief of police and you're also admin, you deal with a lot of paperwork type shit, where it might get a little bit overwhelming instead of just being like a sergeant, where maybe you wouldn't deal with as much, or at least they wouldn't be equal playing fields when it comes to that. But I didn't expect him to leave. I assume that they would probably either, if they're going to step down, I thought maybe they'd go to a different rank, not instantly be like, all right, well, we're done with it. But if you play cop a lot, everybody knows here, I think everyone's played cop at least, maybe not Bojo. Bojo, did you play cop?
Don't ask Bojo about being a cop.
Yeah, I played cop back in the day when the server basically started. I quickly got blacklisting, but as of today, I'm unblacklisted, so I'm looking forward to might get back into the cop scene.
Okay.
boy.
Okay then. So you're gonna pull. Okay. So you and Snake are in the same boat, both blacklisted.
Yeah, well, can call it that.
We know who has a better chance. Regardless of you played cop at some
What's
point.
that supposed to mean?
you know,
Anyway?
we,
I was gonna say no, we don't.
we I think it's fair to say that Bojo would probably have a better chance of getting back on cop than Snake. I mean,
Can't confirm. Snake has been re-offered his lieutenant position as of today. That was another big announcement that was yet to be
that was the new thing.
delivered.
I've heard some dumb shit in my life, but that just topped the cake.
Either way, where I was going with it was you play a lot of cop. You realize that it gets kind of boring after a while, and it's at some point you're definitely going to want to stop playing it. And I'm to the point right now where it's like I play very minimal. If I do play, it's maybe one time a week, because it just gets boring, and it's hard to stay relevant and play with it. So.
Yeah, but then you have to give basically a shout out to Aries because he's been a cop since even the start of Olympus. First started back in the day, he quickly became a cop, and he's been with cops ever since. So it's not a shocker, in all honesty, that he actually came to the position of chief of police.
No, I wasn't shocked either. I figured it had to be. I mean, I assumed it would have been. Grant McGarry was the only person in the position that was deputy chief of police. I assumed that that Aries was gonna get deputy chief of police, and then I didn't think anything was happening with Ace at the time. But out of all the people, I can understand why they went with him. Ace said he went around and he asked a bunch of people, and everyone that he said was like, yeah, go with Aries. Get the best one to go for with it. So I don't know. We can't judging based off how Aries was. Aries is. I want to say that he'll do fine with it. But it's one of those things where it's like you really never know. I mean, you step into a position and it's all new territory. I think.
I don't think it's new for Aries at all.
You don't think it's new for him?
Aries, no. Aries did a lot of leading when Travis was the leader. Like before he stepped down the first time, those two were nearly equals. Honest, as far as like two seniors at the time,
Okay.
So I don't think that it's much of a adjustment for him. I think it's been a little bit since he was in that top dog spot. At least after he stepped down the first time, but I don't think that it's much of an adjustment. I know he's capable, and I think he will do just as well as Ace did. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be an issue.
I wasn't there for any of that, so I didn't know any of that information.
To give some perspective, Ace stepped down because, like he posted, he didn't play. Like he just didn't play a whole lot. So the people that were leading the force and actually, just taking care of business most of the time was Aries and Grandma Gary. It was them two. They're kind of like a pair. They really do take care of a lot of stuff. And I mean, it's not to say that Ace didn't do anything. Ace definitely put some shit in motion and made some changes, but Aries and Grandma Gary are pretty accustomed to it at this point.
That's good.
I think Aries will do a fine job, to be honest.
Well, I'm glad. Everyone shares this, equal opinion on it. Let's talk about removing terror because, obviously Snake now you play a lot of Civ over anything else. Bojo, you're a huge Civ player as well. Lucky, I don't know about you. Do you play more Civ or more Cop?
Lately I've been playing a lot more cop.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
So who started the thread? Let me see. So Big Bad Adam wanted terror to be removed. It's roughly a 50-50 right now. 54% say no, 45 say yes. Opinions, guys. Do we want terror? Do we not want terror? What are we thinking?
In all honesty, from the start of when you had terror, it was just simply text the cops saying, terror, you had the entire city to do whatever the crap you wanted to. Now, as terror has gotten as strict as it has gotten, I honestly see no point in terror, as you can just simply walk into town, talk to every guy in direct chat saying, hey, put your hands up. With the year's rules and everything being added, I find terror being basically unnecessary.
I enjoy it. I have a different perspective. Done a few terrors recently with MC, and we honestly had a bunch of fun doing it. I actually did one terror with like just me and one other person, and that was pretty funny. Well, actually, I don't even know if that was terror. I think we just killed a bunch of cops. Anyway, I don't know. The terrors that we've been doing, it's been fun, to be honest. You had people running around, the cops trying to fuck with you. It's a really good, fun way to just get into a fight. As long as you don't, we try to keep it fun. We don't try to, go sit in the HQ or anything like that. But Most of the time,
Yeah,
what'll
but-
happen is once we start getting close to the HQ, we'll back off and let them come out and fight, and then we'll push them back again, because just to keep it fresh.
Yeah, but you
Quite
gotta remember
interesting.
the new rule being added there about the actual HQ, where you cannot call terror on the city and the HQ. Or you can't call terror on both, but you can't shoot into the HQ during terror unless the cops shoot out.
It's not.
There's still problems with that too. I just like yesterday, I had a situation where it was like even a corporal who just got onto the roof of the HQ and just started shooting at the other office buildings. And I mean that caused more problems because now we have people coming and shooting back into the HQ, shooting at the spawn point, which is like a whole separate issue.
Yeah, I was included in that situation, and I can concur with that.
And I think terror has become kind of more of a way of people to troll instead of having fun. Some of the terrors are great, I agree, but I think it's just gotten too. It's changed so much over the last 7 months, where you just used to be, kill anyone you see, and just kind of like you get caught, no big deal. Now it's just kind of everything's become harder, and people don't want to get caught, and they do BS tactics really.
Oh man, terrors used to be. It used to always just be the office building. Of course, back when the gun store was in the town. I'll be honest. I miss the gun store being in the town. I understand it's definitely better because there's a lot less RDM going on. But dude, man, there was so many times like Conan the Destroyer and all them would just run around and just go crazy. Like it was hilarious, and it was always the office building terror, and you'd always see people making ridiculous shots with PDWs from fucking shots from one office building to another, or the crane, or fucking hospital and shit. The dude, I miss the terrors from back in the old days. Now terrors don't really happen nearly as often. Partly because the bounties is persisting. That definitely put a big stop to a lot of the last minute terrors. But then also because gun store's not in Kavala anymore. I think there was some other stuff involved with it as well. But terrors just do not happen a lot anymore, and I miss it.
It's more so people just don't want to get caught and have to either sit in jail, pay that ticket, or lose whatever gear they had. I mean, obviously you can do terrors with little P-dubs and it wouldn't really matter,
Yeah.
but people.
To be honest, like, I don't know, it's been a topic that I've been wanting to bring up, but probably not going to be talking about it a lot tonight or anything like that, but it may be worth revisiting the whole topic on the economy, because I kind of actually miss some of the old things.
My favorite terror was right before the wipe, when we keep buying explosive charges and we'd place 50 to 100 of them around everywhere. And then that's just the easy way to just RDM everybody, because you don't have to text anyone. So I don't know. I think it's a good stress reliever for people that just want to continue playing Alt's Life and not switch to Wasteland, and they just want to go in, kill a few people, leave and do their thing. Obviously, opinions will vary if it's a big group, like if you have Bourbon going in and doing a terror. Obviously, the outcome will be usually different than if it was a group of 3 randos with PDWs. It's
Yeah, I think that terror should just be removed now, to be honest. After 4 guys got banned for RDM during a terror, I think that I'm good on that action.
well,
It's just gotten too hard at this point.
Yeah.
It used to be so simple. You would do
I think it's
two
not hard.
simple things.
I think it's kind of obvious if you're shooting into a spawn point, you have officers putting their hands up. I was kind of there for that when they got banned, and it was a cluster. It was just a terrible situation for all parties.
I've heard the cop
Sure.
side of it, but what's the civ side of the situation?
Well, without really, I mean, none of the bans were mine. So, but some dudes were caught by the cops, and a team of dudes were killing in the HQ trying to save the dudes, and some cops died on the spawn point, and then guys got banned for RDM, even though there was an active terror. I've never seen that happen before. I'm not saying it was wrong, but it,
The way that I heard it
it's just too
explained,
it's just too complicated when stuff like that's happening at this point.
Yeah, the way I heard it was simply that people were sitting there and just shooting the cops every time they spawned over and over again. And I had a situation like that where we were trying to rescue someone that was inside Area HQ. This is a long time ago. And so the cops kept spawning on there, not realizing that we would just shoot them the second they spawned, because it's okay, we're trying to get our buddy out. You're supposed to be technically simulated backup. We're obviously just going to kill you. You know what's going on very well. So we kill them. One of our people in our clan actually got banned for it. RDM. It's like I can understand it, but then the other side of things is like you know what's going to happen if you spawn. If they're sitting there trying to get somebody out, you know very well that someone's probably going to kill you the second you spawn. And it's not like the cop wouldn't do the same thing. If the cop saw somebody right in front of him right when he spawned, he'd probably just down him. You know, they're not going to sit there and yell APD again. They're just going to shoot him.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of the thing with the whole situation. And the thing that kind of made people salty was that it was during a terror, which is, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about that whole thing because it's irrelevant at this point. But it kind of made my view on terror change because it was like, oh yeah, terror, we can just shoot anybody. And then it's like, well, can't even shoot an HQ now. Like, that changes the entire ball game if the cops get time to set up and stuff.
If it's going to be that way, it needs to be where the cops can't actually engage you from inside then. Because it's like, now you're kind of just sitting there staring at the cops that spawn, wondering, are they going to turn and shoot at me? And usually if they can get the first shot, depending on who it is, they probably will down you. If it's a corporal, they'll probably, sure as shit lethal you. So if that's the situation, they should not be able to fire a shot until they leave the HQ then.
Well, this reminds me of a situation that happened, I don't even know, it was like probably 5 months ago. Back when Nerds was a really huge gang, and I think it was Pink Streak. She was the lead officer. We were is the similar situation. We're trying to rescue someone out of a highway patrol, and I mean cops were spawning in, and I mean we made sure to tell everyone in our gang don't shoot at the cops unless they shoot at you first, or tell the cops hands up or die. And I mean the cops would spawn in and instantly start shooting without even initiating RP. And I remember there was a thing on the forums, people were complaining about it because I mean the thing is cops on both sides are supposed to initiate RP as soon as someone spawns in. It's not just, oh, you spawn in, you gotta instantly die. I think there's fault on both sides. Cops shouldn't be spawning in and instantly shooting. They should be going like APD, hands up, and at the same time if someone sees a cop spawn in, they should go, yo, I mean first of all they should be calling what's it called, the HQ takeover. Second of all, at least initiate the RP, give them a chance to put their hands up, take them hostage maybe, because I mean with the thing that happened in Kavala a couple days ago, or what was it, 2 weeks ago, we had cops spawning in. They put their hands up and they still died with hands up. I mean, to me, that's kind of BS. Fail RP, but I'm not going to say more on that subject.
The problem...
It's interesting. I will say that there's been previous incidents where I don't want to really put anybody under the bus, but it's just interesting how things flip-flop when people are on the other side of a situation.
All right, well,
that's all I'll say about it.
Yeah, sounds right.
You'll have to piece it together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a a weird topic. I think honestly, my whole understanding, like I said though, was cops spawning in. If it's the same cops, they already know what's going down. And the problem with the HQ takeovers is they take too damn long. You basically have to have someone inside, call it, wait 5 fucking minutes, and then finally they can't spawn there.
Yeah, that's the craziest. That needs to be changed.
Yeah, it takes
in
too long.
order for that to be a viable thing.
Yeah,
that was
I had the issue.
There was an HQ takeover. I finally was participated in an HQ takeover that was done right, and what it was ended up happening. We had 2 players from MC, so MC assaulted a Thera HQ, and it was just me and one other cop, and we were trying to defend it. And we were playing pretty smart, making sure that if one of us went down, the other one stayed behind cover and just played very passively until we were both back up. And the guys in MC were being cool. They weren't shooting you as soon as you spawned in. They'd let you run to a spot and whatever. Well, they called the HQ takeover. They were making sure shit didn't go down for that 5 minutes, just sitting outside shooting at us. As soon as that 5 minutes were up, one of their guys came inside. That being the case, you're not able to spawn. Well, the other cop who was there did not see that happen, did not see the person come in. So there was no call out. No call out was made. So I spawned, not knowing that there's someone in, and then all of a sudden, I realize as I've spawned in and then get shot at, turn around and dust this guy, that I just realized, wait, that guy was in the HQ, and I just spawned and killed him. That should not have happened. And eventually, I'd let them go in and take their guy and leave or whatever, because it was, just the way to compliment that situation. But it's like, how do you know as a cop that the people are inside or not? Like, even if you have people alive inside, if someone sneaks in, how are you supposed to know whether or not they're inside and that you can spawn or not? Because they have to be inside. If they're inside after that 5 minutes, you can't spawn. But if they're not inside, then you can spawn. So
Yeah,
it's just not really there's not information.
That's what's dumb about it is that you're supposed to text while you're inside, and that just shows the cops where you are. That's
Let's just look at our map and find out where they are.
Yeah, that's the mind-blowingly bad thing about the HQ takeover.
The biggest...
Yeah.
We talked about it on, God knows, episode 2 or something, where we said it needs to be like a capture point with like the gang hideouts. I don't see a fault in that idea at all. Like, you know, you capture it, you know, you sit there, you do a little animation thing, you have a little time thing, you capture it. It blocks the spawn from cops, or at least notifies them on their spawn screen that they can't spawn there. You know, you finish what you're going to do and get out of there. Cops, you know, take it back over themselves. Or after X amount of time, it, you know, goes away.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of for game mechanic wise that could fix it. I mean, obviously there's lowering the time it takes to actually, you know, call it or whatever. Instead of 5 minutes, maybe it's 3 minutes, maybe it's 2 minutes.
Well, it's just the fact that there's not enough information from between the spawn on the spawn screen. Like, you know what I mean? You don't know if someone's inside or not. You don't know if the guy making call-outs is right or not. So you have to go on the people who are alive. If there's nobody alive in there, you still don't know if somebody's in there or not. So I guess you would assume there is someone in there, but what if there isn't? And then you just gave up the HQ when you could have spawned or something like that, and vice versa. So it's just one of those situations where there's just not a whole lot of information to go off of where we need it. We need to be able to spawn knowing whether or not there's people in the HQ. Not where they are, just knowing that there's people in there. That way...
With the cartel system now, I'm sure that can somehow be incorporated, that the takeover works just like the cartel takeovers work, and I don't know if it's possible to put like a spawn block after the quote-unquote HQ cartels thing is taken over.
Well, the only difference to that is with the cartel, it triggers as soon as you walk into it. So if you did that for HQs, there'd have to be something else in place set up, because if a rebel just walks in, it'll just start triggering a takeover, and they might just be coming in to turn themselves in or something, you know?
Or someone is processing a rebel, and then it's like, oh shit, you know, it's taking over. Wasteland does a thing where if they're inside of the zone, it'll say that either it's blocked, or it'll tell you how many enemies are in that zone. The concept is good, but I don't know if I agree with telling you how many people would be there, because then it's like, oh, well, now we know there's 6 rebels inside the zone. I think it'd be a good idea, but it would have to just tell you that there's someone there, not how many or anything like that.
Yeah, they could implement a way that just simply says enemies in the area, as it says in the gun stores. When people enter that area, you have like an enemy there, because, as said, with the Wasteland thing, there's going to have to be a way, because if that blocks your spawn, if there's more enemies than basically allies in that HQ, what if some random 5 civilians runs in that blocks the entirety of the cops, or this is not even a terrorist, it's a casual Din Kavala, that's basically just going to screw the entirety of the HQ or cop force in that general over.
Well, I mean, honestly, it keeps going back to, I really think the capture point idea is the best one. And, I mean, I guess, it could be abused, but so could a normal HQ takeover. You just run in and say, I'm taking over the HQ, and cops would have to respond to it just like they would a terror or a Fed Reserve or anything like that. So if they just said it, if there's a way, I don't know, obviously I'm speaking from ignorance, I don't know what our limits are, but if there was a way to just set it up to where you had a capture point that wasn't like, that was kind of like the gang hideouts, that was in a position that didn't really, maybe it favored the cops, but the cops wouldn't spawn in looking straight at the fucking pole, you know?
It's gotta be hidden or something, so that way they can't just instantly spawn in, see it, spray someone down. It's gotta be in like a corner where they actually have to travel to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in a tower or something. I don't know.
Inside one of the buildings, inside one of the huts. It works like, you're hacking the HQ and preventing them.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be like inside the main HQ building, all the way up. You know, like just have a general location that's not abusive for cops, but at the same time favors for cops.
Yeah, just something that's not ridiculous, you know. In an HQ takeover, you're already going to have people inside the HQ anyway, so regardless whether or not there's a pole there, you're always going to have people looking at you when you spawn. But, so that doesn't matter, because that's already a thing that happens anyway. So, honestly, I think it'd be best with the pole, because, like, you capture it, it's done, can't spawn there, period, end of story, and then the problem solved. and problem solved until an APD comes over and takes the pull back or whatever, takes it back.
Yeah, like it's a set 30-minute time. After 30 minutes, if it hasn't been taken back by the cops, it automatically takes it back for him, because obviously you shouldn't be doing an HQ takeover for longer than 30 minutes. So.
And also, once it gets captured by the rebels, it's 30 minutes from that point until the rebels could possibly even capture it again, essentially. So if the cops take it back between that time, just like how in Terror, you can only do it 30 minutes apart.
Yeah, I agree. Let's change topics here. I still have a few, and we can talk about either Marksman DLC, force feeding prisoners on COP, and then alt-site population. Anybody want to pick one?
Let's talk about DLC. I don't know.
How about DLC? All right, so I don't have the thing on my screen though. Mitchell, you've messed with it for around 15 minutes. You said, right?
Oh, for longer than that now.
Okay.
I've probably spent about an hour and a half or so messing around in the developer branch and just a Zeus editor type of scenario. Just messing around with all the guns and stuff like that. So the biggest thing really isn't about the new guns. I do want to talk about new guns soon, about what we can speculate on what may be coming to Olympus. But I think the biggest difference that everybody's going to notice off the bat is obviously the way that recoil is changed, and the way that you have this weapon resting mechanic, the way that combat is going to seriously be different now. So, just to confirm some of the greatest fears out there, maybe some of you guys don't even know it's your greatest fear, but you will once I tell you. The PDW has a hilariously strong recoil after that update comes. Like, it is no longer the laser beam, no recoil weapon that people loved it for. That gun is a fucking monster, and it's hard to handle it now. Like, it just fucking... You have to fight to control it and keep it on point.
They basically made a recoil being assault rifle on a PDW. It's just, yeah.
You tried it?
Yeah,
No,
I've
it's
played
not...
the dev branch for... It's, yeah, from going from the good old PDW, it's going to be a large change.
It's going to be very, very different. I mean, it doesn't have as much recoil as an assault rifle, but if you use a PDW first, and then you see it, you'll probably be like, wow, this is ridiculous. There's no way assault rifles could be this bad, and then you use an assault rifle. You will almost probably, you're not going to be able to, like, do a whole lot of shooting at people when you're standing up or whatever. The new weapon resting mechanic is huge. So the way that works is, just for those of you that don't know, the weapon resting mechanic has a situation where there's some sort of formula that is just run all the time on your character. If you have a surface that is immediately below your gun, then it'll automatically have a condition be put on you that you have less recoil and better stability with your weapon. So it's trying to simulate that you're resting your weapon on something. So for instance, a lot of situations, people would stay out of buildings in Arma right now in current combat, and they would just use the building itself for cover or something like that, because you can stand up and shoot. I mean, anyone who's used a TRG, that gun has like no recoil for an assault rifle. You can honestly just pick people off real easy with that. Well, with this new update, that's not necessarily the case. Now, it's way more beneficial to be inside of a building and peeking through a window, because you'll have way more stability, way more, and way less recoil. And you'll have a lot more success just picking people off and firing rounds at them in quick succession.
Is it limiting at all? Like, does it limit your view, or does it is there like an animation or slow you down at all to get set up now?
Though there is no animation for weapon resting. For weapon resting, it's all just basically a formula that says if there's something under your gun, you have less recoil and more stability. So all it is literally, it's just the same as like if you were to sit right behind a rock wall right now. You know those rock walls everywhere all over the place? Sit behind one of those and have your gun peeking over it, and you get the stability and the recoil bonus. You're not actually going to have to set your weapon on it. There's no animation or anything like that. It's just once you move away from that wall, once there's nothing under your weapon again, it's back to normal. But normal in this is like fucking ridiculous recoil compared to what we're used to right now. However, they did also add a bipod attachment. So, in addition to weapon resting features, they will have bipods. Now, bipods do have animation. You sit yourself in a fixed position, you have a restricted angle of fire, but you have fucking, like, zero recoil, dude. Like, you can literally take a light machine gun, the Mark 200, and it just, like, seriously, you're in third person and you have that crosshair and you shoot, your cursor literally doesn't move. Not even kidding, it just doesn't move. But
Yeah.
you're obviously risking, you can only fire at a certain angle and you're sitting duck. So you're sitting still. And so if anyone sees you, you're boned. It's just going to be really interesting, I think, because this is going to really influence the way people get in combat. Obviously, somebody who pulls off a really good flank, they might want to set a bipod down real quick and just absolutely destroy a squad of people with like no problem from like this flank or behind them or whatever. Whereas if you're in a fight with someone, you're going to be moving a lot more with cover to try and get shit to rest your weapon on, so you can fire at people better than they can fire at you. So there'll be a lot more based around cover. Anyone caught out in a field or something like that, they aren't going to hit shit. The recoil is so fucking insane. They're not going to hit any.
Well, Achilles cut out for me. Is he cut out for you guys?
Yeah.
Alright, well, on that, I messed around in the arsenal with it when I went to the Dead Branch, and the new weapons are, some of them are interesting, some of them are a little weird. One of the new LMGs that I messed around with, it was a 3-round burst and it was also full auto, but it was a single bullet would kill anybody. That obviously I wouldn't want to see in Altus Life, but something in Wasteland that might be fine. However, if you can bipod it and it's like a laser beam, I could see that just ripping anything that goes in front of it.
Yeah, that fully capable of ripping through whatever the heck may be in front of you.
But I mess with I don't know the names of anything like that. But everyone
should be several MKs and an MK14, MK11.
MK1. Yeah, I don't know the names off the top of my head, but there's a silent sniper. Apparently, it's really shit. It seemed like it when I used it. It seemed like because it was silenced, that its damage is also having to deal with that as well.
Yeah, the damage highly reduced on it.
Yeah. I played with which one's the like the older the older rifle. What is it called?
That should be the can't get it on the top of my head, but it should be the MK
18?
Nah.
It's one of the new ones.
Whatever. Regardless, everyone knows it's the old ass looking rifle. It has a ton of fucking recoil. I didn't think it was gonna have so much recoil, but it does. Every single shot you take, it's like you're firing like a 50 cal. Like you constantly have to keep adjusting your aim on it, and it's something I probably wouldn't use. Maybe it's fine with like close quarter stuff, but maybe sniping as well. But any kind of like MK18 spray like you'd normally do now, it definitely wouldn't work with something like that.
Because you have the MRA-10, which is a Laputa the sniper. You have the EMR-1, which is also 7.62. Then you have the MK14, which is the gun you talked about.
Yeah.
Which is also a 7.62 with, as you said, quite weird things about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people on the thread, I think it was Gary that was talking about it, was that we would be able to get possibly the MK1 right as a cop weapon. Snake and Bojo, you guys are obviously extremely civ-sided now. Yay or nay on cops having a 7.62 rifle?
I myself would personally like to see cops having 7.62. Seeing as most rebels nowadays roll around the GA carry rig and still complains about cop armor, we already have 7.62 and LMG to our armory, and having 7.62 would actually balance the cop to civ war, because I'm one of those guys that I play civ basically 100% of the time, but I side with cops when it comes to the civ versus side armor and gun side of things. Because seeing as cops only get 6.5, that's quite weak against a fully geared rebel group that's basically going to take you down in 1 or 2 shots.
Yeah, the way I looked at it was the fact that it's probably not going to affect tracers or taser mags as much as it would with just lethals. And at that point where if you're going against, we'll say corporals or higher, you should expect that, you're going to be on an equal playing field there. Even with the 6.5s, we did I want to call it an event, I guess, with, I think it was like MC, Crook, and Bourbon, where they tried to take the Ghost Hotel from the cops. And I didn't really notice an unfair playing field when it came to everyone using lethals. I lethaled everyone, they lethaled me. and it seemed like I was killing people just fine without actually needing any kind of like upgrade to it. But then when it comes to big gangs, and if we had 762, I might notice a difference there. But
Yeah, because you gotta remember, most fights nowadays, like even today, me and Crook had a fight there, and we basically go on long range because on long ranges, the 7.62 MK14 is basically gonna shoot out whatever of MXMs or MXCs the cops may have.
what we're talking
So-
about, Dilly, is cops having a new 762 rifle, and yeah, your name on it basically.
Okay. I could actually put a comment on that.
Okay, so Budget, you can finish what you're saying.
So what I was saying is, like, nowadays, big fights against rebels versus cops, it's always you go for the long range as a rebel. You always go for the long range. You have your MRCO and you just get away, and you shoot the cops from long range. Why? Because seeing as a rebel, even today, we did a jailbreak. I got shot at by 6.5 MXMs, I believe it was. The shots go, yes, towards you, but they way too spread. The guy was laying prone shooting towards me. I popped him one bullet with a 7.62 stunning crouch. The accuracy of the 7.62 rifle MK18 is way too, what do you want to call it, overpowered compared to the accuracy of the 6.5 MXCs and MXL.
Oh,
The
no.
MXM The MXN has quite good accuracy, but compared to the MK18, it's not the best.
Maybe it doesn't measure up to Mark 18, but, I mean, honestly, the reason that it spread so much is because the guy has bad aim, whoever's shooting at you. I mean, you and I, Bojo, every time we get into a fight, we literally every time hit each other with a bullet. Literally at the Fed today, we both shot one bullet at each other, and we both hit each other. You just happened to kill me with your bullet.
Yeah.
I didn't kill you.
That is fully aware.
But it's like, it's honestly the person. I mean, there was one point we were at an engagement or whatever, and I went prone literally 700 meters away, popped a couple shots at a guy and tased him, and saved whoever he was engaged with.
Yeah.
The gun is fine as far as accuracy goes. It's just people using it.
Yeah, because as
especially.
Yeah, continue.
Sorry, especially at night. I know that Prison Break was happening at night, and when people are using night vision, the tracers are actually just really exaggerated in how bright they are, so it's actually a lot harder to figure out where they're going at night if you're using night vision.
Yeah, that I wouldn't notice as well, because seeing as tracer mags, they screw up your screen if you have night vision on. That's easy to say. They spread out, and they basically are large missiles coming towards you. But
Yeah.
as said, when you said with the shooters, yes, it's up to every shooter, but as of current, if you go a little times back on the forums, you see cop after cop after cop complain about the 6.5 that, it's not OP, it's so broken, it needs to be buffed or anything like that, like the tasing needs to be buffed. As it says, it goes up to the shooter, but seeing as basically most of the cops as of current time is complaining about the gun, might some accuracy training or something like that, because seeing as it's up to every different shot, I don't think it should be or at least add the sting or something for the cop.
Well, here's
give
the
them
thing.
variety.
Okay. So, the 6.5 millimeter rifles, the MXs, they do the same damage as a Katiba. It's the same thing, the same caliber round. It does the same damage. We tested that before. Now that the tasers have been brought down to their proper level, they do this. It's just bullet damage, is all it is. They used to, I guess they either used to do more damage, or the threshold of health that you had to get tased was higher, or something, or whatever. I don't know what it used to be. Honestly, tasers don't need to be more powerful. I've had no problems using them. You put a couple rounds in someone and they'll get tased. I honestly don't see the problem. I think people that have had issues lighting people up and hitting them with a bunch of bullets are having issues with desync. I know that was a much bigger problem last week and before that, a couple weeks prior. I don't know if it's still a big problem now, but today I haven't been having any issues with it. But I mean, it's honestly, the 6.5 millimeter is fine. It's and I agree that the 7.62s, I do want to touch on that. The 7.62s coming to APD, I think if there was ever any 7.62 that would even be considered, it would the Mark 1 EMR. Unless that comes with tracers, and unless that comes with tracer rounds, it ain't happening.
No, it can happen. I asked Poseidon the same thing, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it can happen." Then he's like, "Well, when there was Gary posted something, or I think Lucky sent right before the show about being able to like switch out mags and guns or some shit like that."
Yeah, Gucci actually talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
somebody-
chamber the mags, so you can chamber 5.56 into a 7.62 and the other way around.
So if that's the
Well, it
case, you
looks-
could obviously use the 6.5 tracer mags for tasers. But the thing that Poseidon said was the fact that he could code it to where like he changes when you mouse wheel, you get an option of loading tasers. When you do that, it's obviously the same mag, but it switches a variable and acts as if you're shooting, taser rounds instead of this normal 7.62 and dealing the same amount of damage. So it's
Yeah.
possible.
I heard
it
it's
sounds like
possible
it'd be a
too.
little bit of work.
Gucci Mane had posted something. That guy's actually experienced with some programming as well, and he had posted something about how you could set it up to kind of make, I don't know if it was like custom magazines or something, or basically using a magazine that exists in the game already and kind of mimicking how that fits into that weapon or something like that, where you could essentially give it tracer mags one way or another. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but I mean, it was discussed. There's been some discussion about it. If there's a way to make it have tracer mags, then there's a decent chance it'll get added to APD. But obviously in a limited fashion.
I'm gonna say now it needs to be Corporal Plus, not Sergeant Plus, because as it is now, when you get to Corporal, you get your the ability to fly and then the ability to use lethals. When it goes past that point and you become Sergeant or something like that, the ranks above, you're getting so much more stuff, and there's so few people that would be able to have access to that weapon that it wouldn't even matter to actually add it to the game. How often a sergeant plays is maybe you'll catch him a couple hours a day, right? You'd obviously want, I think at least, you'd want the people that have the strong weapons to be someone that's going to be able to be on more often than a sergeant plus. It's not like it's a ghost hawk where I'm saying give ghost hawks to everybody in the world, but
yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, that's something we've been discussing as well. There's a lot of discussion on it. The biggest thing right now is whether or not we can get it to have tracer mags. Because if we can't get it to have tracer mags, then it's just a pipe dream. There was even talk at one point of saying maybe having it set up to where Sergeant's Hire could use it if it doesn't have tracer mags and just have them using a lethal weapon, something that they'd be authorized to do. I don't know how that ended up or all the details and how that discussion went down, but I'm pretty sure it didn't get very far.
that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't be for it. I would think that we need definitely tracer mags, but as far as like what Bojo said, the Sting, I'm gonna put this out there. Hades had posted. We were talking about this in a different a forum that not everybody can see, but it's not what I'm talking about. Isn't very sensitive or anything like that. I was talking about the Sting. I wanted the Sting on the APD. A lot of people know that I wanted the Sting on the APD just as like a PO and higher weapon. Because I personally love submachine gun gameplay. And in close quarters, submachine guns are very strong in Arma. So I was thinking of having a Sting. Well, Hades made a point. Okay, well, we can't do it because if we do that, then it's an APD weapon and Vigis would have APD weapons, and then we'd have to charge them for it. And then if you're not a Vigi and you have a Sting, you have to charge them for it. You can't, it causes confusion or whatever. I was like, okay, whatever, sure, why not? So I said, do it the Vermin. This is what I'm still kind of trying to get it in, but it's not really going anywhere.
You're not
but
getting the Vermin.
The Vermin, as tracer rounds, nobody really uses it because it's more expensive than a 5.56 millimeter assault rifle, and it's a pistol. It's submachine gun, shoots pistol rounds. So I personally would love it because I love using it as submachine guns. So that's just the play style I like to play with. I just love submachine guns. So I wish we had it. I think it would be a good alternative. Some people like playing close quarters, and those people that like playing close quarters, they'll trade the armor penetration and the bullet damage for a higher rate of fire and a more stable weapon platform at close range. Like it's just one of those things. Like APD doesn't have a whole lot of variety in terms of their tools they can use. For the predominant the majority of APD, half the APD has cars and an MXC. And then the MXC, the MX, and the MXM, I wouldn't really call it variety because it's all basically the same gun. The only difference is the accuracy over a very large distance that's almost negligible at the ranges we engage people. With MRCO scopes, the range at which these changes happen are completely irrelevant to us. Mm-hmm. So the difference between all those weapons is basically just cosmetic for us. Apart from, I think, the MX and the MXM have a very hard to notice recoil advantage over their smaller counterparts because of their heavier weight or something bullshit like that. I don't fucking know. Regardless, I don't care about more powerful weapons. I just want a submachine gun because I like playing that way. That's the way I like to play. And I don't want to hear the argument MXCs are basically SMGs. Well, they fucking handle like rifles. Give me a submachine gun, dude, because I just love using submachine guns. I don't understand why it's so difficult. It's not going to cause problems. It's not going to.
So the biggest thing you said was Hades saying that you'd have to charge people if they had a Sting, and then if you had a Vigilante, they'd have an APD weapon. Personally, it doesn't sound like it really matters to me. If you have, if Vigilantes are just basically having a Sting, again, cops can also buy Sting, so be it. That doesn't really mean shit. As long as they have the license, they're authorized to have the weapon. If someone isn't a Vigilante and they have the weapon, then charge them for it. I don't see what the big deal is,
I don't know. It just seems like it's one of those things that's a little bit more complicated than it has to be. I don't understand why it's... and I don't mean to, I'm obviously, just to put it out there, I'm speaking from a position of ignorance. I don't know what they discuss and how they come to their points on whether or not we can have certain weapons or whatever, but it's... I don't know. The way where I'm coming from, I just feel like it's not very unreasonable. I'm not asking for a more powerful weapon. I know there's people in the APD that would use it. I would use it. And it's obviously a trade-off, but it's not like it's a weapon that's going to game change for the APD. It's not like there's one of those situations where people are asking for buff the APD, make them more powerful, give them Titans and 7.62s and 50 cals and shit like that. It's just a submachine gun. I don't really see the big deal, to be honest.
What ranks would you give it for?
I personally would have it for patrol officers and higher for the submachine gun, because it's just, dude, it's a submachine gun. It's not like it's gonna be...
Not give people sniper rifles or anything.
Yeah, it's not a fucking amazing weapon or anything. It's just an alternative playstyle. All it is it's just one of those situations of variety. Sometimes it's kind of boring to use a rifle all the time in your engagements. Just like switching it up a little bit, I like submachine gun.
Deputy?
Because deputies only have a PO7 because they're
learning
encouraged
to
use their
But
encouraged to use
the
their...
thing about vigilantes, encouraged to use their voice. I know what you're gonna say, but
Yeah.
I mean vigilantes, they're regarded as people who aren't in the APD yet. Whatever it's written in the rules.
People that rejected or wanting to become an APD member or some shit like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't
Yeah.
see why deputies wouldn't be able to have that very same weapon at that point, since I mean they're training for APD and they're not technically an APD officer.
Well,
Because
the
they're-
vigilante position isn't necessarily what you'd call a government-provided program or whatever. It's just basically bounty hunters. It's not... Like, you know what I mean? I'm looking at it from the RP sense. From the RP sense, deputies have a pistol because they're encouraged to resolve their situations
With
without
their,
force.
talk first,
Whereas-
use
yeah.
weapon later, yeah.
Whereas vigilantes are bounty hunters. All they care about is money, so they're going to use a weapon that gets them that income or whatever. Which, by the way, is shit right now. Vigilantes don't make money anymore. But anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah, I know why deputies won't get it, and it's all just about using your voice first and trying to resolve situations out instantly, just downing people and having that itchy trigger finger. So
Yeah, I just want a submachine gun, man. That's all I want to do. I love playing cop, and I love using submachine guns. It's too much to ask to have both the things I like.
exactly, it is too much to ask.
It is, apparently.
We have a few topics left. We can discuss them, or we can hop on one and talk about another one another time. I guess we only have two, really. Force-fitting prisoners on cop. There was a post yesterday, a status update, where the prisoner asked if he could eat his food, ended up eating meth and dying from it. That kind of situation is like, in my opinion, you wouldn't ever have to let a criminal feed himself if he's in custody. Obviously, if it's coming down to where they need to eat, you'd be feeding them yourself. same goes for that. They wouldn't have meth on them in the first place. If they were searched already, they wouldn't have the meth on them. But I think being able to force feed somebody is actually a really good option. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to do. Looking from the
You
outside
could
at
really
least,
play
but-
off of it in a pretty interesting way. If you could give that for the APD, that would pretty cool. That would be pretty awesome, just to prevent people from, fucking killing themselves by chugging all the red gold in the world. But also, just think about that from an RP standpoint, from like criminals. You could force feed people like cocaine and make them overdose and die. Like, I don't know. That'd be pretty neat. I'm just saying.
You could actually add to a I don't know how to pronounce that word. Variety of ways to actually have more features to do in game when you take people hostage, and seeing as
Yeah.
you being able to force feed people, it would actually be a great feature for the APD and a fun feature for the civilians.
Force feed
imagine.
someone some meth.
Yeah, just imagine you're doing a hostage situation, and the cops aren't budging. So you're like, oh yeah, you want to play tough instead of shooting him in the leg or some bullshit. Or, you just fucking shove a line of cocaine up his fucking asshole or something. Force feed him that cocaine, and then it's like, yeah, now he's high on cocaine and he's bleeding from his nose or whatever. I don't know.
There's options there where you can add some gameplay to it.
Yeah.
Little thing, like everyone's biggest thing is like, I think when it comes to people making stuff or like Poseidon working on things, I think he might have the understanding that we only want big things being added. You know what I mean? But little things, dude. The little things are what I like. Little small features that are just, something you can have fun with, and that would be one of them. If I can force feed someone, let me do it. I'm not sure putting cocaine in someone's ass will make them get high.
I don't know. It makes them get more drunk when they put alcohol up their ass. I was just spitballing ideas, man.
Lucky, do you have an opinion on force feeding and force watering or whatever you want to call it?
I mean, I'm totally for it, but I mean, we've all had that same situation. I mean, 2 days ago we had the terror with it was MC doing the terror, and then I think it was Big B. He was in the panic room with a couple prisoners, and they're all like, "Oh, I need food. I need food. I'm going to die from thirst and everything." And so, I mean, we straight up told them, "Okay, sir. Well, we're cement blocking your feet. You can't move. Putting or cuffing your feet together." And I mean, the person will still occasionally. I'm not saying that this is MC. We had random prisoners too. They'll as soon as you unrestrain them so they can eat, they just take off running, or even worse, they'll turn around and shoot at you. I think one of the other issues is that no one's ever sure when you can technically seize weapons. I think you should be able to seize weapons in a somewhat active engagement if you're in a safe enough room, but that's a totally different discussion at this point. But yeah, I mean, it causes a lot of problems that really shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's more so when you tell someone their or I guess you're saying their handcuffs or their feet are bound down in some way and they run. That's more of a fail RP type thing. It's like, why couldn't you just go with it? Like, you're not gonna get out of the situation, and by breaking RP, you're just making it worse for yourself at that point. So, I'm all in favor for it. It's one of those things. I'll bring it up with Poseidon or post it on the Trello or some shit and see where we can go with it.
Or at the very least, for now, just do it so it doesn't decrease. I know a lot of people have mentioned that just doesn't decrease during restraints, and I'm sure that can somehow be exploited. But I mean,
the only way I can see it being exploited is if you can't soft log to get food and water anymore, which I don't know if you can. I think you still can. And if you restrain someone and they don't lose food and water, it's like, okay, little Tommy, you only have 5 left. I'm just gonna restrain your ass and fly around with you until we can get you food and water. That's the only time I think it can be exploited, but it's not a big enough exploit where I think I would actually really give a shit. If you did it where you didn't lose food and water like that, I still would want force feeding, just because then for like drug wise, that would be a cool little idea still. But I don't know how else you can exploit something like that. So Gafsky wants to know, what about authorized lethals from higher ups for POs and at Fed Robs and jailbreaks?
It won't happen.
It won't. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen, and I also wouldn't want to do it because if I'm the only corporal on, it would be a motherfucker passing out lethal rounds. If you give someone 3 clips and they're just gonna beg for more afterwards, and it's just gonna be one of those things where if someone doesn't understand why you're giving it to them, they either will keep them afterwards, or they'll think that they're just allowed to have them in general. So
there's too much room for abuse in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you go about it.
what I'll say is any more final topics in the chat or anything like that. I have one more topic, but I think we'll wait on it till next week. If no one here has any more topics to discuss and no one in chat, then I think we'll call it a show at that point. Anybody? Lucky? Anything?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, I don't think Snake's even here anymore. Bojo, you got any final topics?
What did y'all say about when I was talking about the combat mechanics? Because I kind of disconnected in the middle of my sentence or whatever.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We kind of just skipped over that and start talking about guns.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, you need to fucking make your bed. Either way.
I mean, people keep wanting me to have bed sheets, dude, on my bed.
They're there.
I got bed sheets. They're on my bed. Problem solved.
Yeah, man.
I give the people what they want.
Maybe he likes the rough exterior of a mattress. Likes it on him when he's sleeping. So
It's easier to make a cocoon that way.
all right, he just balls himself up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I've never been one shot with a rook, Peter. I've never seen that happen with my hummingbird. So.
Oh, dude, my hummingbird got fucking like 3-shotted by a rook and got shot down. I swear, I don't know if this is a thing, but there's something going on. I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm not just gonna say 9mm bullets are overpowered, but I'm just saying I've seen some 9mm bullets do some pretty amazing shit recently. All right, my hummingbird got shot down by a rook. I saw a Huron get shot down by a PO7. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Let's remove the rook from Olympus servers.
Yeah, rook's got to go. P-Dub's got to go. Everything's just got to go. Let's just have one weapon. The rebels get one weapon.
And it's not like it does all this fucking crazy damage to people. It's just like I've heard some pretty interesting stories. Some helicopters just getting destroyed from fucking 9mm.
We has an update for Altus Life. Update 70009. I'm gonna read it to you guys, and I will paste it in the.
Wait, did it just come out?
Yeah, Poseidon just spammed me with it.
Oh, okay.
So we got added shipwrecks that spawn at a random location with valuable loot. Requires a blasting charge to open them. He removed scalpels. He did a potential fix for lost cop guns. Potential was the keyword there. Icons for virtual inventory items. That's kind of cool. Apparently the R&R uniform was disappearing after login, so now they added a medic clothing shop.
Yay!
Civilian slots exclusive to the news team, so rip you guys. We got our news team gear. Medics can now not revive prisoners. It says Tempest device chops for 25,500 was the old price. Now it should actually be the correct amount. Added some sort of marking on the map showing a Fed and jail zone, so it's a yellow circle. That's good. I think Ham was all in favor of that, right? That was like his idea. I wonder if that's when it's being broken into, or just like all the time.
It might be something as for current that's only all the time.
Yeah, either way, that shows people the zones of it. And then we also have an on-duty news. On-duty news members are given a special news anchor name tag in-game. So, nice little updates. I guess he just put that out today. I wonder if that's already. It says release. I'm guessing it's already out then. I guess he already. Oh yeah, update will be out on the next server restart.
Fuck yeah!
Okay, that's cool. I'll be fucking around with that then. Sounds like good changes to me. I'm interested in the shipwrecks. Never fucked with them on any of the Altus Life servers, so I'm interested to see what kind of valuable loot they're talking about.
This used to have shipwrecks.
I don't know what the shipwreck business is. What is this?
Sounds like the idea obviously sounds like you go down and you grab shit. I mean, I don't. I assume it's.
From what it was, you go up to you swim up to I don't remember anymore. It was such a long time ago. It was like a boat or something. You place a blasting charge, and then it just drops all sorts of loot. I think it was mainly money. I can't remember. It's been a while since they've had it.
On Olympus, at least, shipwrecking, you brought this wreck accelerator. You swam over to the wreck, and you just simply pressed Y and used on the wreck accelerator, and you guys start picking up different money, jewels, emeralds, even drugs.
Even drugs.
Yes.
Year-old cocaine in the shipwreck. So it sounds like instead
was it legal then or no?
No, it had. Oh, the shipwreck you're talking about?
Yeah.
I assume it would.
Would you ask, Lucky?
Were they legal or was it illegal to do them?
Shipwrecking was legal to do, but if you got illegal items, that's obviously just hush about it, and the cops couldn't search it unless they had probable cause. So
Yeah, okay. So, but now instead of using an excavator, you'd be using a blasting charge to open it.
yeah, that should make it illegal, to be honest.
The biggest problem was like the waters weren't used enough, so I'm glad that's out there. People are never in boats.
Yeah, you have the casual people doing frogs, turtles. But
Turtles,
that's like
yeah.
1 in a million.
There was no point. They weigh like 6 now, so
Yeah.
nobody's trying to touch that. Well, good changes. I definitely now I'm interested actually on the show to go fuck with that. When does server restart happen?
Server 2 is restarting in 204 minutes.
Well, Reb, not doing that one then. Apparently it's not illegal, but you can retrieve processed cocaine on Asylum, so I don't know. I'm just gonna say. Oh, see, Gary said last time there was shipwrecks Poseidon and broke the servers, so most likely we're not gonna be playing, guys. So we're kind of fucked on that one.
Wait, what?
Apparently, last time Poseidon did the shipwrecks, it broke the servers.
Doesn't he break the servers every time he does an update?
Yeah, but let's not go into detail about that.
I would ask Snake Amish, but I don't even think he's here. I think he dipped at some point and then just left his Skype open. Snake was permed again. I don't know about him being permed again. I don't know anything about that. Either way, the guys, good topics this week. We're going to obviously go live again next week if everything goes to plan. If you guys have topics, obviously suggest them on our thread because it really helps out a lot. The biggest thing is we don't know what you guys want us to talk about, and then you have to come in here and tell us in chat. If you can go on the thread and just give us stuff to talk about, then we'll have it already pre-planned and ready to go. And then same if you want to come on the show and you're actually going to have an opinion and you're not going to look to start problems, feel free to just let us know that you want to come on and we'll figure out what we can do for you. Other than that, though, Lucky, appreciate you coming on. Bojo, appreciate you guys coming on. You're more than welcome to come back anytime you want. Snake, you're not here.
Really appreciated coming on the podcast.
Now you're back?
Yes.
Would you leave for fucking 35 minutes?
I had a very important situation to deal with. That's my bad, buds.
That's okay. Either way, you were in a shit bag, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Warfare. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to the community team, all the great work they've been doing. Those guys are my buds. So, real quick, I just want to also give a quick shout out to my boy McDilly. Congrats on the Dep Chief. Didn't get the chance to say that. As always, Honey Boo Boo for Chief of Police. And that's all, boys.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.